Welcome back to the Ugly Sofa in the Basement podcast. I am your host, Chase the Conscience. Today is a very, very, very special episode. It is going to be tea time. I'm sitting here with my lovely mom.
Hello. My name is Latonia Thomas. And yes, I am Chase's mom.
So what would you like to talk about today, Mom?
Well, I have several things that we can talk about. I have an interest in making sure that we are taking care of ourselves. And I also want to talk about our rushing and busy lives. We also want to talk about a couple of techniques that we can use to help you to relax and maintain control. I also want to talk about setting examples and being a positive role models for others and children. And I briefly want to talk about eating and drinking better.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yep.
So what would you like to speak about first as far as health and overall self-care? I'm sorry.
Well, I think that we need to first talk about the things that we put in our bodies.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah. The things that we eat and drink on a daily basis, and even during our relaxation times where we are making sure that we are having fun, but at the same time, I want us to talk about having fun while partaking, but not overdoing it.
Yeah, I noticed that's it's definitely a problem, especially in the black community with overdoing things. It seems like people are more woke and aware of certain foods and certain drinks being toxic to our bodies and poisonous, but people, and it's never okay to put anything bad into your body, but we've always been putting, certain things in our body that isn't good. Yes. And I guess it's sad to say it like this, but it's okay, but at moderations.
That's right.
So some people will indulge in meat and foods that are fatty or not very good for our bodies, and our bodies don't really break them down and digest them correctly.
That's right.
And I noticed that even though people are noticing that some of these foods are super bad, they're still overeating and overdoing it. For instance, chicken is really good for you because of the nutrients and some of the protein and stuff that it has in it.
Yes.
But it's still meat. It's still flesh. Yes. I say it like that. It's still flesh. So it's kind of nasty when you really stop and think about it. And I see a lot of people constantly just doing a lot of meat consuming, especially with the red meats and the pork, because pork is horrible. And I know I just got done eating pork, but it's not very good for your body. The pig is a nasty, disgusting animal, and it eats slop. So it's like you're and then the way they slaughter the pigs, it's horrible.
That's another subject.
Yeah, I don't want to even get into that because you're eating the trauma. Yeah, we don't want to get into that. But trauma. Yeah, I see people overdoing things, especially when it comes to alcohol as well.
Yes.
An over consuming amount of beers and liquors, and when your body is intoxicated, it sounds exactly like what it is. It's toxic.
Yes.
To your body, so it gives you that drunk feeling.
Right.
We're so used to drunkenness being commercialized as being a fun time.
Right.
And people are like, oh, I'm going to drink to get messed up. Yeah, I'm feeling good tonight. We're not even realizing, well, we are, but we don't care. And that's the honest truth. That our bodies feel like that because it's trying to tell us, warning.
Yes, it's giving us warning.
Get this out of me.
That's right. And a lot of times when we have indulged either in toxic foods or toxic drinks, our body has a hard time processing those things that we've put inside it.
Right.
And like you said, it's warning signs. When you're feeling sluggish or when you are, they call it the hangovers and things like that, that's our body. Our liver is working overtime. Our gallbladder, our kidneys, yes, our heart, all of those organs are working overtime to rid itself of the stuff that we have put inside our bodies.
Right.
You're absolutely correct.
Yeah, it's just something that we all really need to take accountability for.
Yes.
And make changes. As I said, I guess, as I'm rolling my eyes, that it's okay in moderation, but it's really not.
Right.
I feel as if we kind of just turn a blind eye to our bad eating habits and living habits. And it's problematic just because too many people are dying at a young age because of bad eating habits. And eating, when I say eating habits, I don't just mean literally eating food. I mean like drinking soda, beers, alcohols, the wrong types of juices, that high fructose syrup and stuff like that.
Yes.
It's bad.
I wanted to pinpoint that the things that we eat now compared to the things that we used to eat or your parents or your grandparents used to eat are totally different.
Right.
Totally different.
Right.
And the additives and the preservatives and everything, how things are processed and what they're putting into our foods are totally different than the way it used to be in the 50s, the 60s, 70s. It has changed a lot. And the food industry has changed a lot.
Indeed. Now, when you say that, do you mean that in a bad way, like a negative way, or a positive way?
I'm going to say both.
Okay.
But I started out saying it in a negative way.
Right.
Because of the additives and the preservatives. And everything has to be fast. Everything has to be made quickly. Everything has to be eaten quickly.
Right.
And so that has caused a lot of the things that our bodies can't take. When they put the preservatives and the additives inside our foods, our body doesn't know what to do with it.
Right.
And that causes, in the long run, the heart attacks, the high blood pressure, the diabetes to come in fruition, the type 2 diabetes, type 1 diabetes, all types of things, high blood pressure. People are having massive strokes and heart attacks before they're 30 years old. Yeah,
and people don't think that it happens. People think that it's rare. Oh, that's rare if someone younger than this age. No, it can happen to anybody. If you're sitting there at 22, 23 years old and you're just constantly feeding yourself triple burgers and sodas and not doing anything active, and I always speak on saying that there's no things aren't, as far as bad eating choices, high blood pressure and diabetes stuff isn't genetically given, but I guess it could be, and your family has history of obesity and high blood pressure and diabetes, and you're sitting here and you're eating and living the same way your dad, your granddaddy, his daddy, or your uncles, your aunties, of course you're gonna die, or you're gonna have health complications
issues
at an early age. I'm lucky, me personally, that my family on your side and dad's side, everyone for the most part is and was relatively healthy. I made the decision to feed my face and be lazy as far as being active, and it's kind of a blessing for me, because I've yet to have, other than being, fat, I haven't had diabetes.
Right.
I've just last year or the year before started having somewhat high blood pressure, but that's because I'm in a high number in my weight.
Right.
And once that goes down, I know that it'll be controlled. So I feel blessed to know that, not that it still can't happen. I'm not feeling like I'm bulletproof from dying from being, eating bad and stuff like that. But I know that I can take control of my body, because everyone else in my family is healthy.
Relatively healthy.
Everyone blood related to me that I know of, especially you and Dad, Pop-Pop Bucky, Pop-Pop Jim, Grammy, Nana Joy, were healthy. Uncle Junebug, Aunt Carmel, Uncle Daryl, Uncle Glenn, everyone's healthy. So when I see that, I'm like, okay, I'm the reason why I'm big the way I am, because I chose that. I see all my cousins, and Max and Ryan. Max was big. Yeah, he was. He lost a lot of weight. And Ryan's, he's skinny. Chayla, Jazzy, Kendall. The family, they're very, very. I don't want to say in shape, but everyone, if they really took the time to sculpt their body, we could all be, gladiators. I guess you could say, because it's in our genetics.
Yes.
So, with that being said, I just think that, as you said, we just need to take control and take back our own lives, because we're letting ourselves go. I have more to say on that, but I'll see what else you have to add to that, and then I have some other,
Well, I just wanted to talk about real briefly our cooking techniques.
Okay.
And the things that we do to our food now that help make it unhealthy, and ways that we can make it healthier.
Okay.
As far as the old school way of preparing our meals, we were using lard, Crisco, canola oil. We'll talk about that too. The heavy oils that are difficult for our bodies to process. We were using more salt, and it was the iodized salt, and they were like, "Oh, it's good. Get iodine in your body." Your body can get the iodine another way. It doesn't need to be iodized. So when we're eating salt, we need to be eating the Himalayan sea salt.
Yes.
And that is one of the best. Yes, it's natural, and our bodies love it. Of course, it's in moderation. But when we eat that type of salt, it's better for our bodies to process. We need to be eating more plants from the sea. And our doctors tell us, you need to be eating seafood. You have to watch. Anything like the crustaceans, we should not be eating.
No.
We should not be eating.
Not at all.
The shrimp and the crabs,
lobster,
all that good stuff.
Bottom feeders.
Right, they're bottom feeders. And what are we doing to our oceans? Can you imagine? I mean, if you really think about it, we're just dumping all kinds of chemicals and stuff, and all that goes to the bottom of the ocean. And our shrimp and lobsters and all that good stuff that we
taste
all
good.
like.
It's disgusting.
That's right. That's right. And they're really roaches of the bottom of the
that's
sea.
what I was saying.
So
It's like we might as well eat roaches off the table because that's what we're eating when we eat shrimp. I love shrimp, but I also know,
yeah.
what am I doing to myself?
It'll turn you. But I occasionally have shrimp. I like lobster, all those things, but in moderation.
Right.
In moderation. I know that the whiting and I think it's perch are very good fish for us to eat.
Okay.
Salmon's good as well, in moderation.
Right.
So those are a couple of good fish for us to be eating, and tuna as well.
Yeah. I hope.
Yes.
In moderation, as you keep saying.
That's right.
You can't overdo it. When you overdo it, it becomes unhealthy. I mean,
yes,
anything can become unhealthy if you overdo it, except for certain fruits and vegetables and stuff like that.
Right.
But meat, anything, like that, you can definitely overdo it. Just as I was saying about chicken.
Yes.
Chicken is supposed to be good for you, but you can overdo it.
Yes. And what they're doing to our chicken wasn't that bad maybe 40 years ago. But now, after they put all the solutions in it and they're making it look pretty and pink and they're adding so much to
Steroids and stuff.
Yeah, steroids to make them bigger, to mass produce. So our bodies can't take it.
No. And something that really makes me mad is oh my goodness, the way people kind of put it off. They know, but they're just like, oh, I can't give up my meat.
Right. Right.
I had a word for it and I'm just I lost track, but it's okay. I talked to some of my peers, my friends, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm, when I was doing the vegetarian thing and trying to go vegan, and I was talking to them about it, and I was just like, hey, I'm going to do this, blah, 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 blah. And they're just like, oh, you're crazy. I can't go without my meat. I'm sorry. I'm not giving up pork, and I'm not giving up my steaks. And I'm just like, but, and I try to, and people, and I used to look at people like that before I just started really realizing what we're putting into our body.
Right.
And I just be like, oh, those people sound stupid or crazy because they're like, oh, you're putting flesh of some other living being in your body, and you think that's okay? And then people are just like, oh, you're over analyzing and you're overthinking about it. But it's at the same time, it's like, no, it's the truth.
Yeah.
You're really killing something, and you're putting it into your body. We weren't really made to, or at least not made, but our bodies aren't really good for digesting those kind of things.
That's true.
I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how chiseled or how good someone looks. In the end, our bodies aren't supposed to be taking those things in. That's just how I look at it.
I agree. I was never a big meat eater, even when I was younger. So it wasn't hard for me to not eat a hamburger or not eat a steak. I literally, I can't tell you the last time I had a whole steak.
Wow.
Or even a whole hamburger, as a matter of fact. It's been a while. It's been a while.
Wow.
Almost probably, for a hamburger, it's probably been about 2 years.
Really?
Eating a whole hamburger.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And as far as the steak, I can't
don't
even
think
remember.
I've seen you eat steak, or at least an entire steak. Maybe like
I'll eat
piece.
a slice or two.
Yeah, a slice or two, but I haven't seen you eat like a steak.
But a whole steak, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's nothing that I miss.
That's
and
good.
your body doesn't need it. It really
Exactly.
doesn't need it.
Exactly.
And there's so many other good things, and then things that I'm not supposed to eat that I eat to take the place of it. So
Yeah, but at least you're self-aware of what is going on and what you're putting into your body,
right.
and you're trying to make some type of change, because there's people that ignore it, and that's the word I was looking for earlier, and it's such a simple word, but people ignore the risks and the problems of certain things that they eat,
right.
and they choose to ignore it. They don't care. They're just like, it tastes too good for me to give up. And it's just like, go without it for this amount of time,
Right.
and before you know it, your body's not even going to crave it anymore,
Right.
and you're not going to care. People have to put it into their mind, which is something that I want to move forward on to talking about. Is mental health. We talked about what we're eating, and a lot of it has to do with just your mindset. And something that you wrote to me in a message when you were telling me what we wanted to talk about today, you mentioned it, and it's the truth. We have to realize that what we put in our body impacts how we feel, how we think, and just how we go about our day.
It's true. It is so true, Chase. There are many things that we can eat first thing in the morning when we break fast. When we the first thing that you eat in the morning reflects what happens to you inside and mentally throughout the day. So your breakfast should be something, either a fruit or a vegetable. That's what the doctors are saying. That's what most people who are healthy are saying. Something that's going to be easy to digest. If you're a person that really needs to get that energy, some people have to have that coffee. And there's some days where I do need a cup of coffee because I might be feeling slow, or I just want that extra energy.
Right.
Well, instead of the coffee, try a juice. Try a piece of fruit. Or the vegetable. Now, the fruit is a natural energizer. It'll give you that boosting energy. The vegetable is vegetables are calming, and they stabilize you. So if in the morning you're rushing and you're like, I gotta go, and you're trying to get going, it's better to drink the juice.
Right.
Or eat a piece of fruit.
Right. Yes, Mom. That's important. And it's funny because plenty of people, a couple other people who've bought my juice have said that. Man, I drank that Pineapple Express in the morning, and I was good until like 1-2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was so energized. I felt so much better than what I do when I drink coffee, because all the sugar, coffee by itself, it is good for you.
Right.
But I don't know too many people personally that are just drinking straight black coffee, no sugar, no cream added.
Right.
Most of these people are adding a crap ton of sugar and creamer, and they end up crashing later on.
That's right.
Because their body, is getting off of that sugar high. I know people who are like it, and I can't stand how people are, but people are just like, oh, don't talk to me until I've had my morning coffee. Or, don't da-da-da-da-da until I drink my morning coffee. And it's just like, stop. It's like, at the end of the day, that's not the coffee, that's your mind. You're tricking your mind into believing that without that coffee, you can't function.
Well, what it is are the stimulus. The inside the coffee is stimuli your brain and your body, and then it turns into a craving. And so it's an addiction. Caffeine is not good for your body.
I don't know if you had a chance to listen to the previous episode. I talked about social media addiction and how you can become addicted because the dopamine in your brain gives off things when you get likes or comments on the social media, and it kind of gives you that same addiction that you could get to drug use and things like
Right.
that. So seeing how the cocoa bean is technically a drug,
Yes.
I can see what you're saying,
Yes.
because it's giving people that reward. I drank
Right.
this coffee.
Right.
I feel perked up now.
Right.
And then their brain's sending those waves saying,
Mhm.
ta-da,
Right.
be happy.
Right.
So they're just like, this makes me feel good.
Right.
Tuesday, Wednesday,
Same thing.
Thursday.
Yes.
Before you know it, it's 7 days a week.
That's right.
At 8:45 in the morning,
Right.
you're brewing that coffee. You're going to Turkey Hill or Dunkin' Donuts to get that coffee,
Yep.
and you're not even realizing it. You're addicted.
That's right. And then you might be increasing how many times you want that specific
Yes.
punch or that specific stimulus. And it can be, start out for 1 cup a day, then it can turn, I want that same feeling
Yes.
at lunchtime, and in between lunch and dinner, and then at dinner time, and then before you know it, you're drinking 4 or 5 cups a day.
And that's insane when you think about it,
Mhm.
because
It's the same with anything.
that's drugs.
Cigarettes,
Yeah.
drugs. Yep,
That's what addiction is.
Mhm.
You can be addicted to anything.
that's right.
If you think about it, how we learn anything is low key an addiction when you think
Yes.
about it. Like,
You're right.
people, it's not an addiction, but a routine.
Yes.
It's kind of the same thing. You get familiar with doing something the same way,
You're training
You're
your
training your
brain
brain.
and thinking this certain way.
and that's not always a positive thing.
No.
You can do that a positive way, but
Right.
there's also the negative way of doing it.
Right.
And that's just like that. Oh, I need that coffee every day, or
Yes.
I need that donut, or that bad thing.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we have to learn how to make substitutions for that.
Right.
We need to put the coffee down and get some fresh fruit and blend it all up and make a juice.
Yes.
Heck, it's not really a secret, but that's how I make my juice.
Yes.
Blending the fruits up and putting them together. That's how I make the juice for absolutely vegan juice.
Yes.
So people can do that on their own if they have the time,
Right.
or do it the night before, or come to me.
Yes.
Plugging my business here,
That's
my own
right.
podcast.
That's right.
It's a perk. So when people do things like that, they don't think at first, oh, it's not working. Keep trying it, because
That's so true, Chase.
eventually your body is going to force your brain to tell itself, this is better, this
Yes.
is good.
And it tastes so good, and it's refreshing, and your body thanks you because you feel different.
Yeah. I know plenty of people who used to drink a lot of soda, and they'll talk about how they haven't had soda in years.
Yes.
And some people over exaggerate, but some of these people I can honestly believe.
Mhm.
And they're like, man, I don't remember the last time I cracked a can of soda open. I haven't tasted exactly.
Mhm.
I haven't tasted such and such soda or such and such beverage in years,
Mhm.
because I gave it up and started drinking more water.
Right.
Or I started drinking tea. Like, me personally, I like tea.
Yes.
So I really haven't.
The herbal teas.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
So for instance, I am was a heavy beer drinker. You know this.
Yes.
Humongous 40-ounce mug,
Mhm.
and I drink 2, 3, 4, 5 of those a day.
Yeah.
Not only is that bad for my gut, because that's yeast and gives me
Yeah.
that infamous beer gut, but it's not good for my body either.
Right.
And I started drinking more water. I started drinking more teas, and I drank my own juice.
Yes.
And
it's helped. It's helped.
I
And you
slowed
can tell.
down a lot.
Mhm.
I really don't go out to grab a glass of beer,
Right.
and I haven't bought a case of beer or a beer from the store in a long time.
Yeah.
It has been a very long time, and that's good.
Your body probably thanks you too.
Yeah.
But you can tell by your skin, you can tell that you've lost weight, you can tell by your energy levels.
Mhm.
All of that changes, and it heightens after you've gotten rid of those types of things. So
That's good.
That's positive. Positive. And that's a segue on to feeling positive
Right.
and being the positive role models for others and for our children.
Right.
Because children are watching us. We might not see them watching, but they're always watching. When we have to know to set an example for the younger people around us and in our lives. And we have grandchildren. You have a son. You have nephews, and we have to set examples for them, because they're thinking, oh well, if Unc is drinking this, that means I can drink it.
Exactly.
And it's okay. And I see him drinking that big glass of beer. I want to do that one day.
Right.
But if they see you drinking your juice, or they see you drinking your water, I want to drink that.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's another thing that people need to understand. I'm gonna leave it without the music while we talk. I'll add it on afterwards, unless you want me to put music on. Okay, I'll get back to it. That's another thing that I want to talk about. It's the, what's the word I'm looking for? The habits that you're showing the youth.
yes,
A lot of people don't understand that kids and even young teenagers are like sponges,
yes,
and they will soak up whatever attitude or habit that you do, or something that you say, or just anything.
yes.
If you sit in front of a child every day and you're constantly negative and you're cursing and you're speaking about bad things, your child is going to pick up that same pattern and be the same way. I had to, it took me a while, and certain people who are no longer around used to say that you have to watch how you talk to me or talk to people in front of your son, because he sees that and he thinks that it's okay to be like that around people, or speak to certain people like that. And I always used to kind of I used to brush it off, but as time moved forward, I started thinking and seeing it for what it was, and was like, something, I do need to watch how I am around him, because he's only 11, but he's still watching. And if he sees me cursing at people and being negative and mean-spirited toward people, he's going to be like, okay, Dad does that. I guess if Dad does that and he's my hero and someone I look up to, I'm going to do that, because he's only showing me that that's the right way. And it's not okay. A lot of people don't understand that, and I see it all the time. You'll see people will have like certain sayings, and or say certain things, or do something a certain way, and then you'll see their kid and they're doing it right next to them, shaking their head just like the mom, or saying something that the father would say, or the grandmom, and that's not okay. If we're going to be doing something like that, we need to teach these children, youth in general, the right way. And that pays a lot into mental health. And that's something that isn't talked about enough in the Black community, the Black and Hispanic, the Black and Brown communities. I know there's other communities, but we have friends and live amongst the Black and Brown community. So when I, am around and I see certain parents letting their kids do certain things, I understand that, it's my kid, I can do what I want. But it's just, listen, that's not okay behavior. And if they continue to think that it is, they're not going to grow up to be anything. Or they're going to grow up and they're just going to be the same way that certain people are in the city, and they're just homebodies. They don't do anything, collect checks, and they're perfectly able to work. That's a big problem.
That's right. We have to set examples. We have to be the example setter. And be responsible for what we do, because it is we're like mirrors.
Yes.
And when the child looks into the mirror, you want them to see themselves and see you at the same time.
Yes.
It should be a reflection of good things, positive things.
Correct. And that's something big. I talked about that in the podcast I was on the other day with Brittany, and I mentioned stuff like that as well. We have to change the narrative.
Yes.
We need to change the image. We have a lot of positive black women and positive black men.
Yes.
But the thing is that it gets, especially for the ladies, it gets overshadowed by, and I won't mention any names, but certain celebrities that are talking about other things, things that shouldn't be talked about.
Right.
I know that a lot of it's for entertainment, but this world is so just sick and twisted,
Right.
that they will take something that certain people may think is just entertainment and will force feed it down the youth's throat,
Yeah.
and to make them live the life of someone else.
Right.
And it causes more damage than anything else. Like, I know I said I wasn't going to mention names, but like the Cardi B's and Megan Thee Stallion. Megan Thee Stallion, she went, got her degree and things like that. But her music is, to me, and I know people may, not agree. Her music is garbage to me, because anything that I hear from her, it's never, and I could be missing out on something, but from what they're showing from her is on the radio, which is why she's so popular. She's talking about other things that kids listen to.
Right.
And these kids are running around singing the WAP song, Wet a Vagina, and that's not okay.
No, that's not
for
okay.
little girls.
No.
And then Cardi B, I don't cook, I don't clean. Now, there's more songs out there that, promote other things better than that, but that's just what the kids hear on the radio.
Right.
And I understand from what people say, oh, well, you as the parent should be monitoring it. At the end of the day, it's on the radio, and the radio plays everywhere.
Right.
So when they're hearing, these songs and male rappers and musicians talking about these negative things, or glorifying this and and talking bad about such and such, I see it all the time. Kids singing these songs and throwing up all these little gang signs and just thinking that they're these characters that these entertainers portray.
Right.
It's sad.
It is.
And I think that we need more people around
Teaching, singing positive things.
Yes.
Sing things about doing better. Sing things about becoming entrepreneurs. Sing things about, or have your message be about doing something positive in your community, in your world, in your life, in improving your family, uplifting your family and the generations and the elders, your ancestors. Sing about that kind of stuff.
See,
that's what I want to hear.
I agree, but people say that's boring.
It's not boring
because
if
they
you
can't
have the right type of music.
They can't turn up in the club to it. I can't turn up to talking about positivity in the club.
Why
And so,
not?
well, you shouldn't be out in the club anyways.
Anyway.
I understand that people want to have a good time, and that's cool.
We dance to a lot of music, but you have to get into some of the 70s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s music and really listen. There was a lot of music that we danced to that had messages.
Right. And that's what I think people need to do as well. You don't, people are like, oh, I can't get jiggy with, I can't get hyped to this kind of stuff. This is boring. They're just talking about saving the community. I can't listen to that while I'm trying to get ready to go out to a party. It's like, well, if you have the right instrumental or the right beat playing in the background,
yes.
you can mix some positive messages in your music.
Right.
That's something that I like about Kendrick Lamar,
Yes.
who just, his album just came out late last night today. Today.
Yes.
I haven't listened to it yet, which I'm going to very soon.
Okay.
He's one of those artists that he can come out with tracks, and it's something that you hear in the club. But if you're a person like myself and other people that I know, and you're really listening to the lyrics and you break down what he's saying, it's like, oh wow, this is playing in the club. It's just like Hey Ya by Outkast. If that song played all the time, that song plays at parties.
Yes.
They have that on like Kids Bop, and they have that song on like, greatest party hits. But if you listen to if you've ever broke down the words in Hey Ya, it is one of the most depressing songs ever. It's extremely, like, the words are deep.
Yes.
And people just, they don't understand.
They don't hear the words.
They don't hear, and he says that in the song.
Exactly.
I forget
That's
exactly what word how he says it. He's just like, y'all don't care, y'all just want to dance or something like that. He says, he says that in the song, and it's crazy because it goes over people's heads. Because
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, he made a point in that same song that they don't care about the message that he's giving out. They just want to sing and dance and parade around.
Yes.
And that's one of the biggest problems that we have, and it's only getting worse. And that song came out years ago.
Yes.
It's only gotten worse since time has moved forward, and more artists like him are getting less and less popular because we're getting all these A, B, C, D, E, F, G, gang artists,
right.
and it takes zero to nothing nowadays for these people to get their stuff played, because all you have to do is just start talking about stuff that really isn't positive,
right?
And the man, I ain't gonna say anything else other than that, they promote it because that's what they want. They want us to destroy ourselves.
Yes.
That's a whole different conversation for a whole different other time.
Yes, that's another podcast.
We won't get too deep into that. But as far as mental health goes, I just think that we all need to start loving ourselves.
Yes.
That's one thing that I have finally learned to do over the last 7 months now. I was in a pretty long relationship, and I wasn't very happy one, though it seemed like it. But I finally, now that I'm on the outside looking in instead of being in the inside looking out, I realized that I had an issue. I wasn't happy with me, and if I wasn't happy with myself, how was I able to make my partner happy?
Right.
And
it's better to work within first.
Right.
Get that straight, and then you can emit positively.
Exactly.
And thinking of others. But I think we all need to get our own heart and our inner feelings together.
Right.
And even if that means, and this is another thing when we were talking about taking care of yourself, is very important mentally.
Yes.
If it means we might have to go through counseling or seek that third party to talk about or to talk to work out things, because it might be so deep you might not even know what has caused you to be angry, or to what has caused you to think a certain way. Exactly. So sometimes going to a counselor or just speaking to another person that has some type of experience and emotions and feelings and things it will help you.
Right. Help you. Yes, I didn't get any like professional help, but I just stopped, and I cut a lot of people out of my life.
You made changes.
And I made necessary sacrifices and changes outside of my failed relationship, because of I was holding in compressed anger and depression and just things that I needed to work on. And instead of taking the accountability and saying, I need help. Can you come with me and get me help, or we need to just take a break because I'm struggling to mentally. I just kept compressing it and ignoring it and just just like I was saying about the food. Oh, I can't give up meat. I was sitting there saying, oh, I don't want to seek help to myself.
Right.
I don't need help. That's for crazy people, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I didn't realize until things exploded. Now I'm like, dang, I really had needed to get myself together.
Right.
And now that I'm, by myself, I had that time where I finally started to decompress.
Yes.
And I look at things different.
Good.
I changed my eating habits. I changed the people who I associated and surrounded myself with, my circle.
Yes.
And I think more positive. And
it's clear.
My energy is, my energy is more clear. And, I appreciate like the smallest things now. It could just be like someone saying good morning, and I'm just like, man, I really appreciate that person looking and just saying good morning. It sounds little and dumb to some people, but you have to learn how to appreciate little things like that, and just to take everything in day by day.
Exactly.
It's an amazing feeling.
Yep.
I do wish that I would have matured and gotten myself together beforehand, and maybe things would have turned out different. But things happen for a reason. And it's when I say it is what it is, people understand when you say that. It is what it is. You meet people in your life, situations happen, and it's always, whether it's a positive or negative thing that happens, everything is a learning experience. But
that's the thing, Chase. You might be like, oh, well, I wish it never had happened.
Right.
Don't think of it that way. That was a learning situation, and now that certain things happen and why they happened, and you can reflect on it and be able to fall back on it and say, okay, I'm not going to do that. And the experience help you to become better.
Yes.
That's all.
And that's something that I just like to put in other people's minds, is just try to make sure that you're okay. Even if you don't talk to anyone else about it. As long as you can look in the mirror and look at that reflection and say, I'm truly okay, or I'm not fully okay, but I know that I'm working on it, then you should be okay. You don't ever want to be look in the mirror and hate who you see in the reflection, because if you can't love yourself, or at least be okay with yourself, you're never going to make it being a lover to someone else, a parent, a co-worker, a friend, anything to anyone else. And if people are okay with that, then they need to be by themselves. Literally just isolate themselves and just leave other people alone, because that's another thing. Your energy and your vibes, they do rub off on other people. It's so hard for people to get themselves out of a funk and out of a shell or out of a depression when they're around other people who are just like that and aren't trying to make changes. If you're around someone who's constantly like, I'm this, I'm that, I'm not happy, blah, 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 and you feel like that, you're never going to become happy. You're never going to feel okay.
That's right.
Because you're around someone who feels the same way, and it's just making you like, man, I know the feeling. I'm this, I'm that, I'm all of the above. And that's the thing. We all need to be around, or at least have that one positive thing or person around us to make us happy.
That's right.
Or relieve ourselves from the depression. We need something to cope with. But it has to be a good coping mechanism.
That's right.
Which ties into what I was saying yesterday about the social media. You have to check that out. That's why a lot of people turn to social media, and that's a bad thing.
That's right.
Because then you're depending on that social media.
And it might have the wrong type of impressions.
Exactly. And that's what it is.
Right.
And that's the same thing with drugs and other substance that shouldn't be abused. People turn to that because it takes them away. When I say find a coping mechanism, I mean like for instance, I picked up painting.
Right.
I know
positive hobby.
I know my paintings aren't all that. I know that they are like, ooh, like someone not saying names said the other day, oh, that looks like something the kids can do, and I didn't even get mad.
Nope.
And for the first, and which was surprising. Me before would have been like,
Oh,
what, and
right.
But me now, I'm just like, that's okay.
I was so proud, and I remember that
Because it didn't even
proud of
like,
you.
It went right over my head.
That's
I didn't
right.
even care, and I didn't think about it till later.
How you reacted.
I said, I didn't even think about that being said. It went in one ear and out the other because I know that that's my way of decompressing.
Yes.
It does. I can throw paint all over the canvas as long as I feel better after.
That's right.
That's all. I don't need to be. Look, Picasso's paintings, I don't care what anyone says. Picasso's paintings are ugly.
They are, but that was his expression, and you don't know if he was going through turmoil or
Millions of dollars
going crazy. They're
for
going
his
for
artwork.
millions of dollars.
I've seen
right.
kids.
Draw
Matter of
better
fact,
than
I've
him.
seen paint from kids thrown on
Yes.
canvases, and people take them to art galleries. And do you think I can sell this? And people, it's exquisite, and they sell it for thousands of dollars. And I just look, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
wait, it's a child. It looks like a child just
that's all right.
took the brush and they're selling it. I don't care for the money. I do it for self-expression.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, I understand. I'm glad that I listened to a lot of advice that you gave me, you and Dad, and talking to the better half of my friend group, my circle. I had a decent size, a big size circle, but not everyone in my circle was bringing me positive energy.
Right.
So I shortened that circle up, and the people who I have around me are constantly just injecting their souls, literally, and energy into my body, and it makes me feel great because they're giving me not just advice, but they're just telling me things. Just,
right.
You're a king, and you're good, and you're this,
Right,
you're that,
right.
and it makes you feel good.
Even if it's not about you, it might be the positive things that they're doing.
And that's another thing.
And you're saying, wow, I like what that person's doing. I like what that person is saying.
Yes.
That makes them feel good. That makes me feel good that they're feeling good. I want to be like that.
That's me all the time. I see people that I am friends with on Facebook who I don't even personally, on a personal note, hang out with. I know them. They know me. We are friends. And I see people going to different states, or people, especially with the music, because I'm deep in the music. I see a lot of my friends who do music. They're getting shows, and they're getting videos that are getting thousands of views, or they're getting talked about on by famous people, etc., etc. And I am so happy for them. I'm ecstatic for them, because why not? Yeah. And it's something that brings hope to everyone. And that's what we all need to be about. We all just need to be positive. And I like that you said that. It doesn't always have to be about you, yourself. Right. It could just be about someone else. Such and such got accepted to insert college.
Exactly.
I'm so happy.
Right.
And genuinely feel that that joy.
Yes. Yes. And we need to uplift each other.
Yes.
And the young folks, the younger people, the teenagers, and our youth. During this time now, there's so much negativity, so much just chaos and demonic stuff that's going on.
Yeah. Hit the nail right on the coffin there.
Yeah, we have to really be beacons for our younger people to see that there's some positive, there's some goodness left, because they're seeing a lot of negativities and they're seeing a lot of wrong. We need to be the ones that are showing them that there's also good, right? And they can have some hope. It's like that hope light is dimming.
It's very dim.
Yes, it's very dim, and we need to brighten it by pouring it into them. You can do it. You can be anything you want to be, and just keep it in them, because, boy, I'm telling you, people that are your age and younger, above 18 and on up to 45, everyone need to go to the polls. Each poll, every poll. When it's voting time, you guys need to be there. Seriously, because the people that are coming in the next 2 years, they're going to be shutting down rights to live where you want to live, rights to what school you're going to go to, your children are going to go to, whether or not you're going to get paid. I mean, it's going to get tight. And you guys are feeling real comfortable now. Think in another 2 years, our friend 45 will be back in office, and he's coming back with a vengeance. And he's tearing up some stuff, just to let you guys know.
We'll get into all that.
That's
Definitely
another time.
on another episode. Is there anything else you'd like to add to what you're saying, Mom?
I really enjoyed this time with you, Chase.
Yes,
and,
same here.
I'm looking forward to our next time to get on. I have a lot of good things to talk about, so
good.
Looking forward to it.
Me too.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in to the Ugly Sofa in the Basement podcast. Once again, this is your host, Chase the Conscience, alongside with my mom. Always remember, peace is love, love is peace. I love y'all.